Hello everyone, welcome back to a long overdue video about the Warrior Cats graphic novel adaptation, Volume 1. Now, apologies for this being late, but shenanigans occurred. So when I first bought this book, I bought the hardcover because I wanted that cool hardcover underneath the sleeve design. But it got back ordered like twice, and then it got cancelled. So I had to, unfortunately, buy the paperback version, and after all that, I've read it, front to back. I've thought about it for a while, and my thoughts are, it's really good. Yeah. I'm sorry, like, this isn't really going to be, like, that different from other people's videos. Like, if you've seen Sunnyfall's video, if you've seen Akira's video, it's pretty much going to be the same thing, it's just kind of repeated. It's a good book, it's a good adaptation, mostly. There are some issues, but overall, I think it's a really good adaptation. Kinda sucks that it took us this long to get an adaptation, and unfortunately, while it's not a movie or television show, this is a suitable stand-in. So let's go over just the basic points. This book adapts the first two books, Into the Wild and Fire and Ice, except not really. So as an adaptation of Into the Wild, it's flawless. You know, it condenses things, it expands about some things, it cuts unnecessary elements, and it just makes it an overall better read. Yeah, it is a little disappointing, like if you have read the book series, that there are things cut, and it is sad that things get cut in an adaptation, but it's mostly for the best. Again, if you want like specific kind of what was cut, changed, and added, you should watch Akira's video going over this. I'll link her videos in the description for both Into the Wild and Fire and Ice. And as an adaptation of Fire and Ice, while it is not as great because it does cut a lot more, a lot of it is going to be pushed to the next book, which I agree with. You know, pushing the Broken Tail plotline, because that's going to be Yellowfang's book. She's on the front cover. Pushing Cinderpelt is connected to Yellowfang, makes sense. Pushing Cloudpaw, he's really big in those books, so it makes sense to push him. All of the stuff they push, including the Graystripe and Silverstream bulk of their romance in the next book, it makes sense why they did it, and I don't have any issues with it. I mean, we don't know how it's going to turn out, so there's still that, but I think it was a fair decision given their reasoning. Now, the one change I don't agree with is cutting Whitethroat's death, because I think it lessens the stakes of Graystripe's and Silverstream's relationship. Because part of the reason their relationship is so monumental and dangerous is because not only are they half-clan, not only is it with RiverClan, who eventually find out they're struggling and there's like tensions there, because, you know, ThunderClan and RiverClan have this huge rivalry, but also because Graystripe, of all cats, killed a RiverClan cat, albeit indirectly, depending on how you read it. I would say it's indirectly and not really on purpose, but that's not what RiverClan thinks. So by cutting it, and it's not like a thing like, oh, they pushed it to the next book, they explicitly cut it. Like, there's basically no way you could add it back in without it making less sense. So while I do disagree with that one change they made, is it that important to the plot? No, I just think it makes it more high stakes and makes it feel a bit more, you know, impactful when, you know, their relationship. But again, we'll have to see how the relationship plays out. Maybe they'll make up for it. You know, maybe something will happen there. Who knows? But aside from that, I really think as an adaptation, it did well. I mean, yeah, it was rushed at sometimes. This is something I was kind of thinking about. As an adaptation, obviously as someone who has read the books a lot, like so many times, it definitely did feel rushed in a lot of places. But I'm wondering if it's just because I'm looking at it as an adaptation or because I'm looking at it as an original work. I'm curious, tell me in the comments below, if you've never read the main series, if you've never read any of the books, and you read this book, did it feel rushed, or is it just an adaptation thing? I don't know. But, yeah, as a story thing, I think it's fine, you know? There's some things it goes well, some things it doesn't, but overall, I'd say it's a very good adaptation, as I've said repeatedly. Not much new to say there. Again, not to like repeat what other people have said, but the art is drop dead gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. It kind of gives me that like webcomic vibe. And I know people think like webcomics, oh, they're not like, you know, this detailed. My guys, have you seen Beyond the Western Deep? Have you seen Lackadaisy? Have you read like Aurora? Those are beautiful, gorgeous comics. Yeah, maybe not so much in the early days, but as time goes on, when the artists, you know, expand the world and get really into it, those are some gorgeous webcomics. And they're still ongoing. Check them out if you want to read some really good comics. But yeah, it really gives you that kind of wholesome, original webcomic design, and I really like that. You know, it's bright, it's colorful, it's full of life and energy. You know, the cats are expressive. You really feel the emotions. Like, they're very emotive. You can tell what they're thinking. Like, because you don't really have internal dialogue with these cats, these expressions kind of replace that. And even if they're like really, really subtle, even on someone with like Yellowfang, who thankfully they did make very like Persian cat inspired, which is kind of what she's based on, at least in a lot of artwork, they still made that with like her very different sized face, still made very subtle, you know, twitch of whiskers, raise of eyebrows, very subtle movements that made it so it's really, really comes across as something that was very detailed and very intentional and very intricately put together. And overall, I think it does that really well. I mean, this is just me gushing about how good the book is, and yeah, I like it. There are problems, there are things that I think they could have done better, but hey, this is like their first one. You know, obviously, things can change, things can, you know, are in flux. Obviously, with Volume 2 coming out in April, and I would assume most of Volume 3 is probably done. I would assume, just given, like, how long they've been working on this. Like, I believe they said, correct me if I'm wrong, they've been working on this since, like, 2021? 22? Around there. So they've been in work for a while. So I assume at least Volume 3 is more or less done, and a lot of the feedback probably will not impact them. But I do wonder, here's the thing I've been kind of wondering, would this have been released, or should this have been released as like a weekly webcomic, you know, on the Warrior Cats website, and then eventually collected into a volume, or is it just better to release it as a full volume? Because I was talking about how this like gave me webcomic vibes with the art style and the way that it was kind of done, but I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. But yeah, it's Warrior Cats: The Prophecies Begins graphic novel volume 1. Long title, but good book. Yeah, that's all I have to say really. Excited for volume 2 coming in April, which is kind of a quick turnaround, but you know what? No complaints here, right? Very excited to read it. Hopefully get a paperback for that. Who knows? Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about, really. Oh, wait. Ooh, surprise. I have something else I need to talk about, and that is the violence. This was something I was kind of wondering if the series how they would do it. And obviously with the first 2 books, the violence is very low. And even in book 3 and 4, it's kind of on the down low. Obviously characters die, but not to the same extent as like a Brightheart, or like a Tiger Star, or a Scourge, or Snow Kit. So they're not shying away from the blood and violence, but they are somewhat restrained. I don't know. I think it's fine. I can't make a definitive opinion until more books come out. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day. See y'all. Bye-bye.